I'm Alex Michelson. This week, we're one-on-one with California Governor Gavin Newsom. What is your biggest takeaway from the recall? In one of his most deeply personal interviews yet, he opens up about the recall, his kids, and his own struggle with dyslexia. Plus, the issue is abortion politics. Gloria Allred is back, and with her, 18-year-old Paxton Smith, who went viral for her pro-choice speech. Plus, Dave Rubin is here for the first time. He's talking about the future of the California GOP and debating Gloria Allred on vaccine mandates. The Issue Is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson. On a busy week for California Governor Gavin Newsom, he became the first governor in the nation to call for every school child to be vaccinated to attend in-person school. That will take effect with full FDA approval. He signed a series of bills related to homelessness, the state spending $12 billion on that issue. He also signed on to a series of police reform bills in Gardena on Thursday. That's where we sat down with him. It is his first exclusive, in-depth sit-down interview with us since California voted down the recall. We just got through this recall process. It's the first time I've talked to you since. What is your biggest takeaway from the recall?
So it's an existential reality, and you live with that dark cloud. And at least for me, it was a dark cloud for over a year, with people with protest signs and recall signs and petitions out there in front of your house everywhere you go. And so there's a stress associated with that, but there wasn't a distraction associated with that. And I want folks to know that. We kept our eye on the ball, and I think as a consequence, we did well on election day because people saw we actually were moving the needle on the things that mattered to them. Housing, homelessness, education, climate change, addressing these great challenges that are all pre-existing challenges to not just the recall, but even me getting elected 2.5 years ago. So my big takeaway is there's a deeper sense of urgency today than I've ever experienced in my lifetime. That people really are frustrated and angry about Washington, D.C., about City Hall, about the state capitol, about elected officials across the spectrum around institutions, and not just governmental institutions. And people are demanding real results, and if you don't show them, you can't just assert it, you got to prove it, then we're all going to be subject to subsequent recalls in the future.
I've always been curious about this. What do you tell your kids about the recall and about this moment in California
I tell
politics?
them not to hate the people. I mean, they have some of their best friends, parents, my kids' best friends, parents supported the recall. And I'm like, don't let that get in the way of your relationship with your best friend. And don't hate his parents, because they're good people. We just see the world with a different set of eyes, but at the same time, we're there together in the barbecue after the soccer game, all sharing same experiences and same expression of love and relationship. And I honestly tell my kids this all the time, because the worst thing could happen is being a kid of a politician, and you're just seeing this stress and consternation, the finger pointing, and I don't want them to have that, including Donald Trump. I made my kids many times come in. I'm not making this up, and it's interesting that I'm even sharing it. I had many conversations, as many folks know, with Donald Trump on a consistent basis. I didn't have a closed fist. I had an open hand. We disagreed across the spectrum, but I wanted to work with him. I had my kids come in and saying, I'm going to talk to the president, Mom. I wanted them to hear that I can talk even with civility to someone I vehemently disagree on a spectrum of issues. And I wanted them to understand that. And I'll tell you, of all the things I've done the last few years, since I've been governor, in terms of trying to deal with the challenges and stresses my kids have with their dad being a governor, I'm most proud of that, because it's interestingly had an impact on them. That they talk, when they see Trump, they don't say, I hate him anymore. They say, I'm glad he's gone, we love President Biden, but the temperature's taken down, and that's all we need. You don't have to hate everybody. You could disagree. You don't have to hate.
So they're literally in the room while you're on the phone with them?
Yeah.
Interesting. And speaking of kids, we see you have a new kids book coming out, talking about your dyslexia.
This is hot off the press this morning.
I know. Exclusive. That's how we like it here.
Exclusive.
I think that this is something a lot of people don't know about you, which I think actually just explains you more if people got to understand that. Something that I think is really an interesting aspect of your life. Can you talk for a moment about how dyslexia has shaped you and what you're trying to accomplish with this book?
One of the biggest frustrations people have with me is like, gee, he keeps talking and talking and he goes from one issue to, it's because I have a difficult time even to this day reading. And when I do read, even comprehend, I have to go over what I'm reading multiple times. I have pretty severe dyslexia, and it really marked a relationship with me with having to find ways to overcompensate and deal with the deep issues and stresses of self-esteem, because you don't have much when kids are laughing at other kids because they can't read. I had to go through speech therapy for years. I found all these old files that my mom kept, and after she passed away, I found them in boxes that explained and expressed years and years and years of supplemental support that she was able to provide for me. So I did a little kid's book talking about, well, a young child, proxy, I guess me, that not only had a relationship to dyslexia, but to sports, because I literally, not for baseball, not for basketball, I wouldn't have had self-esteem, and I could have been in a very different place. And so how sports created a sense of confidence that I was able to translate, ultimately try to overcome the dyslexia. And so it's a little children's book, a picture book. There are not many out there for dyslexic kids. In fact, I couldn't find one. And I have 2 kids with learning differences myself. And so I decided to write one, and I'm really excited it's coming out in December.
There's a lot more with Governor Newsom at youtube.com/Elex Michelson. We talk about COVID, homelessness, police reform, reparations, and more. Again, youtube.com/Elex Michelson. Get ready. Up next, here she comes. Gloria Allred is back, and she's bringing company to help in the fight for women's rights. And as we go to break, a bump shot courtesy of Josh Furman above downtown Los Angeles. Check out his fantastic Instagram account at Above Los Angeles. We'll be right back.
If you wanna play hide and seek with love, let me remind you, it's all right.
The film Seeing Allred on Netflix tells the life story of my next guest. It showcases her work as an attorney and as a dancer.
Gloria, you're always on the run now. Running after somebody. You gotta get him somehow.
Gloria Allred is back. She's back. Gloria, it is great to see you.
You too,
back
Alex.
on the set for the first time in like a year and a half.
I'm so thrilled to be with you.
And you brought some company with you.
I did.
This is Paxton Smith, who you call your Shiro, right?
She is my Shiro.
Yeah. And
she and Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
yes. Well, that's good company. How about that, right?
That, right.
So Paxton sort of went viral this last year. She was a valedictorian of her school in Texas.
High school.
And her high school, and giving a speech, kind of ripped up the speech and made it about abortion rights. Here is a clip from that.
I am terrified that if my contraceptives fail, I am terrified that if I am raped, then my hopes and aspirations and dreams and efforts for my future will no longer matter.
And since then, abortion rights has become an even bigger issue with what we are seeing in Texas. I know you're here this weekend in California for the Women's March here, the two of you speaking together at that. What is your sort of big main point right now when it comes to women's rights?
No piece of one-size-fits-all legislation is ever going to work when you apply it to the entire population. Everyone has a right to decide what they do with their bodies and subsequently what they do with their lives.
And Gloria, for you, I mean, because now we see this Texas law after 6 weeks basically banning abortions. A lot of people don't even know that they're pregnant at that point. This is the cause of your life. How do you fight back?
Yeah, well, we have to fight back. We're just hanging on, hoping that the federal court judge will issue an injunction. That's a court order stopping the enforcement of this very dangerous law.
For me, I'm 18 years old. I'm starting my freshman year of college, and I worked my entire life just to get to that point where I was valedictorian and I could go to a great school so that as many doors were opened up as for me, so that how I spend my time on this earth is how I choose to spend it. But now that's not my decision if I become pregnant. That is a stranger's decision.
After you went viral, Gloria Allred hears your story. The two of you end up having sort of a mentorship relationship, the 18-year-old and the 80-year-old.
Yes.
You even went to Gloria's 80th birthday party
right.
with her as her
Yes.
guest. What have you learned from Gloria Allred?
We've made so much progress, and it's because of her work. And for what I learned from that is just keep your head high when people are not agreeing with you, because you are fighting for what's right.
And Gloria, what have you learned from Paxton?
Well, I've learned so much from Paxton about the courage of an 18-year-old. We want her generation, and she is now one of the leaders of her generation, to become activists to protect our right to choose abortion. You know that I had an abortion when it was not legal to have one, for a doctor to perform one, before Roe v. Wade, before 1973, when I was in my 20s, and I almost died from that. We don't want women, our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, our aunts, to have to risk their lives with back alley abortions just because some stranger, as Paxton put it, people in the legislature, elected officials who don't even know her, who don't even want to know her, they shouldn't be able to make those kinds of decisions for her life.
All right. Well, Paxton, it is so great having you here. Congrats on your success. You've got a great mentor here. How cool is that? Gloria, you're going to be back a little bit later to debate Dave Rubin about vaccine mandates.
I'm looking forward to it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but before we go, Paxton, I don't know if you know this, but Gloria made a deal with me that every time she comes on the show, we have to dance together. So here's some past footage of some of our past dances together. I mean, our moves are over the top, right? And it is such a joy to have her back. We've been doing this via Zoom. We haven't been able to dance in person. So I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling happy that Gloria is back. You ready? I've been a long time waiting for this. Come on, Gloria. She's got to move. It's like this is her thing.
Okay, all right.
Can we?
Oh, okay.
Gavin Newsom is an evil Disney cartoon villain, okay? He's gotta go. He can go to...
That was Dave Rubin campaigning for Larry Elder in Thousand Oaks during the recall campaign. Dave Rubin is with us now. Dave hosts the Rubin Report, which features big-time interviews on YouTube and on RubinReport.com. His upcoming book is entitled Don't Burn This Country, Surviving and Thriving in Our Woke Dystopia. That's available for pre-order now. Dave Rubin, welcome to The Issue Is for the very first time.
It's good to be with you, and I have to say that I'm sorry I'm not with you in person, and we're doing this via our little Skype Zoom situation. But as you know, I tried to show up to the studio about an hour ago, and they asked for our vaccine mandates card. I was with my producer, and I personally don't think it's anyone's business whether you're vaccinated or not. I have no problem with anyone that wants to get vaccinated. I have no problem with anyone wearing a mask on their face or anything like that. But I can't be subjected to this stuff, and I think we need more people to stand up. So I wish I was in studio with you, but we'll do it through these wires instead. It is the company policy, and I don't make the policy, but we're grateful to have the conversation with you. So let's start with this. Larry Elder, you were one of his most ardent defenders out there. He got the most support among the Republicans in the race, but the recall still overwhelmingly failed. What do you make of the Larry Elder campaign and also the state of the Republican Party in California right now? Obviously, I was disappointed in what happened with the recall. There's no doubt about it. Larry Elder is a very, very decent man, born and bred here in California, son of a janitor. He has been, fighting for what I think are mostly the right issues for a long, long time. He was treated horribly and unfairly by most of the media. Big tech fueled it by putting up hit piece after hit piece about him. And I think, unfortunately, we have a situation in California where an awful lot of people seem to just want more government in their lives, to just have bureaucrats tell them what to do and take their money and do whatever they want with it without a lot of results, which is why we have, tremendous amount of homelessness and drug use, and prices of houses are sky high and the roads aren't that great and everything else. So I'm very disappointed in what happened, and I hope that Larry's future here is still bright one way or another. Whenever somebody comes on the show for the first time, we play this game called Personal Issues, which is to get to know you a little bit better. These are quick hits, your favorites. Let's have some fun with this. So we'll put 30 seconds up on the clock, and we'll get started now. What is your favorite TV show? Oh, Seinfeld, no doubt, Seinfeld. Favorite movie? Let's say Contact with Jodie Foster. Ooh, favorite sports team? Portland Trail Blazers from around 1990 to 1992. Wow, very specific. Favorite liberal? There are no liberals anymore. My dad's pretty decent. Best thing about being a Californian? When it's right, it's great. It ain't right now.
Who is your role model?
Jordan Peterson. I toured with him. Great man, changed my life.
All right, well, coming up in the next, have you ever debated Gloria Allred before?
I have never. I've seen her in debates, but I've never debated her, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, this is going to be fun. Dave, stick around for that. But as we go to break with some music, Hollywood Nights, and we want to show you this shot of Hollywood at night. It's a spectacular image from the Instagram page at Above Los Angeles. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All those big city nights in those high rolling hills.
This week, Governor Newsom announced that California kids will all be required to be vaccinated once it gets FDA approval. Let's talk about that and more with Gloria Allred on the left and Dave Rubin on the right, debating each other for the first time. All right, Dave, let's start with you. I know this is an issue you're especially passionate about. What do you make of California's vaccine mandates?
Oh, it's completely ridiculous, like the federal vaccine mandates are. To be very clear, I think that if anyone wants to get the vaccine and they want to wear a mask and they want to stay at home or whatever it is that they want to do, you absolutely have that right, and you should consult with your doctor, and you should take into account your age and your health and medical history, all of those things. Kids have a 0.002% chance of dying from COVID. That is CDC numbers as of March. Everyone else is getting vaccinated, in essence. So the teachers are vaccinated, the administrators are vaccinated. We know kids aren't sharing it with each other. This is just constant government overreach. And where are the good liberals? California is supposed to be a liberal state. Liberals used to fight for individual rights and civil liberties, but they've just folded in the name of progressive authoritarianism.
Gloria, are you a good liberal?
I'm a progressive, proud progressive, I might add, but I also believe in science. And this is really not about rights, it's about life and death. And of course, kids can also be carriers of COVID. And I ask you, Dave, do you think there should not be a mandate for kids in schools to have to get vaccine for chickenpox, for mumps, for polio, for so many other vaccines that they are required to have in order to go to school?
All of those things were tested for years. As we know, we rushed out this vaccination. But this is not, I'm not saying people should not get vaccinated. I'm saying it should be left up to choice. But you just said something very, very dangerous right there for a lawyer. This is not about rights. Since when is it not about rights? In the United States, we have God-given rights that are protected under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if we're suddenly saying, oh, this isn't about rights, because there is some virus out there with basically a 99% recovery rate, and I just gave you the CDC numbers for children. Yes, children could transmit the disease, although they rarely do, but the parents are all vaccinated if they're good, decent citizens. So I don't really understand the connection, actually.
Are you a good, decent citizen? Are you vaccinated?
It's nobody's business whether I'm vaccinated. That's like me asking you the last time you got laid. I mean, it's just irrelevant.
All right, so what's really relevant is that it's one thing if you have the right to choose for your...
My medical history is not your business, nor yours is mine.
Let Gloria finish.
If you have the right to choose what you should do with your own body, I respect that. But when what you choose to do can be dangerous to others, then we're in a whole different area. And by the way, even for your own choice, if you exercise your choice not to get a vaccine, you get to do that, but you also have to pay the consequences of that. And the consequences may be that you're not going to be able to have a job anymore. The consequences may be that you're going to end up in the hospital with serious COVID and you may die. And because you're overloading the ICUs in the hospital, people who need care for cancer or heart disease or other illnesses may not be able to get a bed because you were irresponsible in not getting the vaccine.
Gloria, frankly, it's very obvious to me that you're a progressive, because what lies under every progressive is a really sort of hysterical authoritarian.
Well,
Everyone is allowed to make
a
decision for themselves. Here, we're in Los Angeles right now. I was just over at the studio that I couldn't get into over there. Which hospitals in Los Angeles are overrun right now?
Yeah, look, let me just tell you something. First of all, you made a sexist remark. Calling a woman hysterical is very, very sexist. So I think you should stay on the issues instead of engaging in name calling. Look, we've had surges, we've had ups, we've had downs in California.
Kill people, but all right.
We don't need to wait for the for the point at which there is a crisis, as is going on in many, many states where there are no ICU beds available and people have to drive miles and miles to another state to even get an ICU bed. Some people have died before they got there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the researchers for this show can show me the videos of all the overrun hospitals that nobody has seen. I mean, really, if we go down this route where you have to do things for your health and to make sure that hospitals don't get overrun, there's going to be an awful lot of bad things we're going to have to do to overweight people, because as you know, being overweight and being diabetic is one of the biggest factors in COVID morbidity.
99% of the people.
Are we suddenly going to say that overweight people should be, what? Are we going to force them to diet? Are we going to not give them health insurance?
99% of the people who were in the critical care and the ICU beds are unvaccinated people.
All right. I guess we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time. I guess they're not coming together on this issue, but it is.
But I'd love to dance with you, together with you one day, Dave, on Alex's show.
I will gladly dance with you, regardless of vaccination status.
Well, no, I won't dance with you if you're unvaccinated. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Thank you very much.
I did not say whether I was or was not.
Well, you'll have to show me proof of vax before we dance.
Let's leave it there. I guess that's a sign of where we are as a country right now, but at the end we can agree on some things as well. Dave, thank you for coming on the show for the very first time. Really enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure.
And Gloria, let's end with some dancing. We're going to have Viva La Gloria. Hopefully we can turn it up in here. This is from Green Day, and we can see Gloria's moves. Where's that's move?
Okay.
There it is. She's back. See you next week.